things. Okay, here.
Hello, everybody. We are getting set up and we're going to give it just a moment while we set up. Make sure you mute your mics so that we don't hear everything in the background while we're waiting to get started. In the chat for coming today, you get a free t-shirt, so be sure to fill out that form. And it is now right on 11 o'clock. And welcome to Recipes for Success. We're going to talk about metacognition, learning how to learn. My name is Jana Weiss. I'm the Student Life Coordinator for Online College. And today we have the Academic Success Center's team. They're over tutoring. We have the director. We had one of the leads who's over. Which area are you over?
Oh, I'm over Southeast and Southwest tutoring location.
Wow, Southeast and Southwest. So please let me welcome Amanda Guerrero and Juanita Martinez. Welcome, y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad you can join us today. Today, we're going to talk about learn how to learn, developing learning strategies.
All right, so before we get started, I'm Amanda. I go by Mandy, very informal, and we'll have an opportunity towards the end of the call or into the conference call to answer or field any questions. Please be sure to jot them down. And you can also pop them into the chat. But before we get started, we like to give credit where credit is due. So much of this presentation has been derived from this wonderful book. It's called Teach Yourself How to Learn, Strategies that you can use to ace any course at any level. And so we just want to set that up to kind of let you know that most of the material that we're going to be going over is coming from this reference.
Metacognition. So what is that? It's the use of self-reflecting awareness and adjustments to behaviors that support your goal-directed processes. It's the ability to think about what you're thinking about. Be cautiously aware of yourself as a problem solver. To plan, monitor, evaluate, and control your mental processing. In other words, am I understanding what I'm learning, or am I just memorizing it? And to accurately judge your level of learning. Know what you know and what you don't know.
So we'd like to ask these questions. How might you answer this? What did most of your teachers in high school do the day before a test? You're welcome to pop that into the chat. What did they do during this particular activity? And what grade do you think you would have made on that test if you had gone to class only the day before the test? Will you succeed in your college level courses if you were to use that same strategy? We have responses in there, any? Not yet?
Not yet.
Well,
Y'all
I know.
can unmute too and say.
Yeah, that's true. Well, speaking from experience,
Elaine has her hand up. Go ahead, Elaine.
Hi, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
It's not allowing me to put anything in the chat.
Oh,
it says
okay.
Chat is only available during meeting, but the meeting is on.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can change those settings in the background while y'all.
Well, did you want to share something, Elaine?
I just wanted to answer the first question. Like generally there would always be like some sort of a revision session with everybody before the test.
Yeah, a review. Oftentimes they would put questions on the review or vocabulary words that you might need to refresh on, or just concepts in general, right? Sometimes they would talk about it, or they would give it to you to fill out and do a week or two before the exam, and then you guys would talk about it the day before the test, right? Or review your review to make sure that you had it right.
Yes.
Yeah. So the question becomes like, do you feel like you could succeed in your college level courses alone just using that strategy? Oh, Jana said you can try the chat now. Let's go on to the next slide. It's at least a seed that we planted here.
Right. So
Sorry,
this is
still
how-
not available.
Okay,
Oh,
let
it's
me
not.
try this.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and continue.
Okay.
So how metacognition empowers us. So here's an example of a student, a first-year calculus student, who initially was making grades of 79 and 54. When they started to apply the metacognition techniques, they noticed that their grades were going a little bit higher, 90, 95, and 90. So before metacognition, the student was probably just memorizing formulas and just using online homework programs. After metacognition, they were solving problems with no external aids, and they were testing their own mastery of the concepts. So there are many different strategies that students can use, and you have to decide what is going to work best for you. So earlier we were asking you about the processes of studying and learning. If you were trying to cram everything the day before a test, that may have worked in past times, but when you're in college level courses, there's a process of where you have to continuously practice what you've learned. So that's how metacognition comes in. You're going to practice what you've learned. You're going to keep asking yourself, what was I supposed to learn? And how can I apply this?
So one of the strategies that we're going to talk about is effective homework strategies. Effective homework strategies typically consist of studying material first. That's before even looking at the problems or the questions that are being assigned to you or that you're being asked to work on. This is reviewing your textbook and your class notes. And we're going to go into a little bit more detail about how to appropriately review your textbook, and we have other workshops about effective note-taking methods and active listening while note-taking. So I do encourage you guys to check those out and register for those as well. But for today's purposes, so you study the material first. And then after you've gone through the material, you go ahead and work example problems out. Thank you, Jana, for popping in the other upcoming events into the chat. So you work example problems out without looking at the solutions. It's really, really handy if you carry like Post-it notes or have Post-it notes in whatever space that you're working in. So if your textbook actually has the solution listed, you can put the Post-it over the top and approach it as if it were you're being quizzed or tested on it as is. And then you keep working that problem until you get the answer. Now, if you're completely lost and you need to look, okay, what is that next step? Of course, you can look your Post-it note up and take a look until you get the hang of it. You can also use like AI to generate similar types of problems for you. And that way you're not just constantly coming up with or trying to come up with, let's just say it's a math problem. You can actually use an AI tool to do a math worksheet on a specific area and to provide the solutions and the steps that it took to get to those solutions so that you can practice more on your own. All right, and then you check to see, is my answer correct? If it's not correct, figure out what the mistake was without consulting the solution and then ask for help. You can ask for help in a couple of different ways. A lot of our students that we speak to don't understand what professors' office hours are. A lot of people think, okay, I don't want to disturb my professor during their office hours because they're probably grading paperwork or they're preparing for class. No, their office hours are there for you. They're designed to be built into their schedule that they get compensated for to make sure that they're available to answer your questions and to be there for the students. So most professors require you to make an appointment though. So make sure you check with your professor on what their preference is, check the syllabus out and things of that nature so that if you do need extra help, you tap into them during their office hours. Peer support. Organically, this was before I learned a lot of these types of techniques. I remember in high school, and I graduated back in '97, we would form study groups because sometimes you would get something in your class that somebody else didn't get and vice versa, so you can compare notes and fill in gaps where you might have missed information. Somebody may know how to solve one of these problems, can serve as like a peer support or peer tutor in that moment, and sometimes you might be that person. So forming study groups, not only does that help in creating kind of a sense of belonging for the students, but it also helps for you to help each other out. We also have supplemental instruction assigned to specific courses at HCC. If you're wondering if your class is an SI class, ask your professor. If you would like to sign up for classes that are SI classes, ask your advisor how you can tell the difference when you're signing up for classes that are SI versus those that are not SI. Supplemental instruction is a great program. That's where there's a structured supplemental instruction leader, somebody who's taken that course and had success in it, that's been trained to hold formal study group sessions outside of the classroom. And then there's tutoring, and that's the area that Juanita and I work in. We have tutoring at HCC in a couple of different ways. You can come visit us at one of our academic success centers. You can also reach out to us through our call center, schedule an appointment to meet with somebody in person, or you can schedule an appointment to meet with them through video conference, just like we're doing now through Microsoft Teams. Tutoring is free of charge to you, and we offer tutoring in almost every subject that we offer here at HCC, almost. We're trying our best to cover as much as we possibly can. But what I can say is any course where you have a writing component, doesn't matter if it's an English class or not, you can tap into one of our writing tutors. So even if I'm taking chemistry and I'm writing a lab report, you can have a chemistry tutor help you with the content of that lab report, but you can then turn around and ask a writing tutor to help you with your writing piece of it. Do you understand where I'm going with this? All right. So effective homework strategies: study the material first, work the example problems, check to see if your answer is correct. If it's not, find out where your error was, seek additional help. And of course, you might be seeking help at the same time that you're trying to work those problems and answer questions, especially as if you were taking a test. That's how you need to approach your homework assignment.
Okay, another strategy is you're using your textbook. Why is using the textbook so important? What word comes to mind when you see the word C_T? Would this word have come to your mind if we lived in a culture that had no cats and you'd never seen the word before? Our brains automatically fill in missing information if we're familiar with the content. A good example is text messages. We know the abbreviations of LOL, et cetera, but does your brain have the info to fill in what's missing in your course notes? Will the test be written from what your brain or the professor brain sees in the course notes? So as you're reading that textbook, you're gathering information. So some of our textbooks are really big, right? They're thick. And you know there's a lot of reading that you're going to have to go through. So there's going to be some reading techniques that you would probably need to gather as well.
Effective reading comprehension. So here's some of the things that you can do if you're trying to increase your comprehension of what you read. I can't tell you how many times I read a paragraph and then I ask myself, what did I just read? And I have to reread it, right? I don't know if you can relate to that, but reading, I'm a STEM person, so reading was definitely something that I had to really, really work on here. You can do it. I did it. Went along and finished off a graduate level program. So, I mean, you just have to be dedicated and keep on trying. So you can preview the text before reading or develop an anticipatory set of questions. So if you're looking at the title or you're looking at the subject, you can ask yourself like, okay, what do I think that this chapter is going to be about? Or what do I think that big picture wise, they're going to want me to know about this? And then read one paragraph at a time. It's important to be able to paraphrase that. So if you read a paragraph, you can sum it up into one sentence. I think it's a really great idea to always read the first sentence and the last sentence of every paragraph first, and then read the whole paragraph and then summarize it. Use the SQ5R strategy. It works. So you survey, you look at the introduction of the chapter, you look at the summary, you look at the bold print, you look at all the italicized words, you look at the margins. You question. You devise questions that you think the reading will answer. What did I need to know from this paragraph? What's important? Then you read, of course, one paragraph at a time, recite or summarize it in your own words, record or write or annotate in the margins. I always recommend doing this in pencil, just in case you ever want to try to sell your book. You could always go back and erase all of that. So annotate in the margins, and then review. Summarize the chapter and the information in your own words, and then reflect. Other views in class, whatever remaining questions you might have. Doing this before your class starts. So let's say you're going to cover chapters 1 through 3 this upcoming week. Reading those chapters 1 through 3 before you actually get to class and doing this process will best prepare you to be open to absorbing everything that you can in the classroom from your professor.
I know for a lot of college level courses, most of the books are ebooks. So using the publisher's website or the publisher's ebook, there's going to be some tools within that ebook, and some of them to take notes. They have highlighters. There's various other tools that they have in the publisher's website as you're reading your ebook. Use those tools. I don't think you want to print out the entire ebook, but you could use the information that you're gathering from the ebook, and you can copy and paste somewhere else if you want to be able to print that out. But I don't know if some publishers will allow that. But there's various ways of trying to use the SQ5R strategy. Even though you don't have a physical textbook, you can still apply that with an ebook. Developing your metacognitive skills. So, what's the difference between studying and learning? Studying is memorizing and focusing on the what's. That's kind of a short-term learning, and it could be forgotten. Learning is focusing on the how, the whys, and the what ifs. I'm always asking my question, what if? It helps promote a better understanding of the material and applying what you learn. So learning leads towards more learning. What did I need to know for this class? Can I teach it to my classmates? Can I teach it to anybody else? So here's a testimony for a first-year student. This is coming from the book that we mentioned earlier at the beginning of the presentation. So in the first-year student testimony, they stated, I attended the supplemental instruction session and the exam reviews. Before the exam reviews and SI sessions, I would try to answer as many of the questions as possible to see where I was in terms of grasping the information. Then at the exam reviews and the SI session, I would know what I needed to understand. Next, after the review sessions or the SI sessions, I would go to my room and teach the material to my beneficiaries. The material I couldn't explain, I would study more. I would continue that cycle until I could explain everything that was in my notes. So it doesn't have to be a beta fish. It could be a stuffed animal. It could be a sibling. It could be your child. Whatever works for you. If you can teach that material, that means you really grasp everything. You're understanding it. And, that's where you really know the content. And you're going to be ready for that test.
So what do we know about learning? Active learning is more lasting than passive learning. Passive learning tends to be an oxymoron. So think about thinking. It's important. That is what's metacognition. When we ever do this presentation, we always try to come up with another way to say metacognition, but there's really no better way to say it. It's thinking about how you think, learning about what works best for you and how you learn. The level at which learning occurs is also important, and that's called Bloom's taxonomy. Every educator that you will come into contact with over every teaching certification program knows Bloom's taxonomy inside and out. And so we want to expose you to that. We want to show you what Bloom's taxonomy is so that you might be able to think about your learning from a different perspective.
All right, so this is the hierarchy of learning levels. It looks like a pyramid. Let's start with the foundation. It starts with remember. This is where you recall facts and basic concepts. You might be memorizing lists. You might be memorizing vocabulary words. The next level is understand, where you explain ideas or concepts that you read or you've learned or it was discussed. The next level is apply, where you use information in new situations. You're going to execute, implement, and solve problems, demonstrate what you've learned, and possibly interpret what you've learned as well. You may even have to sketch it out. The next level, getting a little more advanced now, analyze. You're going to draw connections among ideas, where you're going to organize, relate, compare, and contrast, distinguish. You may even experiment, and you're going to question, and you're going to test whatever it is that you're learning. Evaluate, justify a stand or decision, appraise, argue, defend, judge. The information you've learned will solve this, and this is how I know that it's going to solve this. This is, where you're going to evaluate, and then you're going to create, produce new or original work, where you may have to design, assemble, construct, and develop something.
So we have a question for you. At what level of Bloom's taxonomy did you have to operate in to make grades A's or B's in high school? Is it remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, creating? So we just took the pyramid and flipped it upside down here. Remember, remembering was at the very base of that pyramid, where creating was at the very tip. So at what level of Bloom's, you can pop it into the chat, did you have to operate in order to make grades A's and B's in high school? What do you guys think? Apply.
New messages. Apply. What's
Create.
6? Creating.
Okay.
I remember 1, 2, and 3 for the most part when I was in high school.
Yeah. I remember the importance of memorizing vocabulary words, right? Remembering. Remembering and understanding. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Elaine. All right, let's go ahead and get it to pop up the response. So, try it again. Okay, great. The next question is at what level of Bloom's do you think you're going to need to be able to operate in to make A's in college courses? You can pop those answers in there as well. Understanding. That was, I think, from the last one. Applying, understand. Okay, understanding. Got another couple coming in. Analyzing. Yeah. Yeah, I would say 4 through 6, just depends on the professor and their expectations for the course. I think that oftentimes it depends on the program and the course, the creation of something. I mean, that could be the creation of a paper of your own idea, right? It could be the creation, if you're an interior design, of a piece of furniture that you actually do as a capstone project. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely a good mix of what you're going to need to be able to operate in. And so it's the point of this is, how do we take our mindset from what worked for us in high school and tweak that to what we know is going to work or benefit us in college to remain being successful, engaged, and doing well and persisting to completing our programs, right? So let's start trying to think about how we can take that to the next level.
The study cycle. This is another strategy. So we got this infographic from Louisiana State University. We got permission to use it. We liked it so much that we wanted to include it. The study cycle is how do you get the most out of your class? So you begin with the cycle. You see where the yellow start button is. So you're going to preview where you're going to skim new material. You're going to note main ideas and form the big picture of what you're learning. And of course, you're going to attend class, take notes, and ask questions. Then it goes into the part of review where you're going to read your notes, fill in the gaps, and form questions. Then it goes into this whole focus study session where you're going to complete multiple focus study sessions before class meets again. So that may entail planning, where you're going to set a specific goal. And then you're going to study for, maybe 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, maybe an hour. But you're going to use all of the effective study strategies that we've mentioned before by using concept maps. You're going to read to comprehend. You're going to work problems out. You're going to practice problem solving. But remember to think critically by asking why, how, and what if. And give yourself a little break during that study period. So, you don't wear yourself out. You don't want to burn out. But always summarize what you were studying before you end that study session. Do you continue studying? Do you take a longer break? Or do you switch it up and go into a different subject? So the next part is you're going to check, can I teach this? Have I mastered the information? And you can repeat this cycle for all of your subjects and on a daily basis on how you apply your study skills.
So time management, we have another workshop on time management we would love to invite you to come to, but blocking out time in your schedule to study is really important because you're setting the stage. I remember having a routine when it was time for studying for me. I would have to have kind of a decluttered space. So the night before, a major assignment was due, I would make sure that my space was decluttered. I typically would like to put on essential oils burning, peppermint typically. I know I was really odd. I like the lights in a certain fashion. I'm a little OCD with things like that, but understand your environment that you're going to study best in. Block out the time and plan for that time in advance. If you have no idea where to start with scheduling study time, consider making an appointment with a tutor. Attend that workshop that I recommended, time management. Use this formula to get a rough idea of how many hours per week you should try to study for each of your courses based on the number of credit hours that you're taking and the difficulty level of the classes. So 1 is low, 2 is moderate, 3 is high, meaning difficulty. So like 1 credit hour is like, okay, I don't need as much time, up to 3, which I might need more time. And typically it's a multiplier. So if you have a class that's 3 credit hours, you know that you need to probably designate about 6 hours a week needed to study for class, and that's outside of your class time. And as the class goes on, you can adjust that amount of time based on the situation, based on what assignments you have due and when, based on if you have tests coming up in other classes and you might need to dedicate more time to another course. But this is just a general rule of thumb, and you can kind of see what a schedule might look like as an example below.
And don't forget to include time for relaxation. Whenever you set your schedule up, you need time with family, you need time for yourself, you need time to sleep. So, you may want to take a good look at that weekly calendar that you have on your phone, or maybe there's an online tool that you like to use, or even an actual calendar, a physical calendar. I like the physical calendars. I write everything in a physical calendar. I know Amanda does. She writes it all out in pencil. And it changes. Your schedule
It changes all the time.
Yeah, so adjust it to your needs.
Yeah.
Mindset about your own intelligence. So let's talk about fixed mindset. This is where your intelligence is static. We all have a certain amount of it. This is where we're going to say something very negative about ourselves. For instance, I'm not good at chemistry, and at this point, the grade in my class is reflecting that. That's a fixed mindset. That's a negative mindset. However, for a growth mindset, your intelligence can be developed, and you grow with your actions. You grow with what your statements are saying. Example, you can say something like, I ended up earning a 90 in my course, but I started with a 60. I think what I did different was I made a lot of side notes for each chapter. And as I progressed into the next chapter, I was able to refer to those notes. We all know that when you take notes, it builds into the next chapter, and perhaps one course leads into the next course. I would keep all of my old notes and I would use them for the next course. So at this point, a student could probably say, I would say that in chemistry, everything builds from the previous topic. That's a growth mindset. Knowing that whatever I'm learning now, it's going to be used again for something else. I can always, understand per chapter what I need to be learning. Say positive statements about what you're learning.
So this is a great illustration of what type of mindset you might be in and what the challenges, obstacles, efforts, criticisms, and successes might be associated with that, and then what the result is because of having that mindset. So let's just take this, for example. If you have a fixed mindset, you might think that intelligence is static. I'm born with a certain level of intelligence. This is why I can't stand those IQ tests, right? And that leads to a desire to look smart, and therefore the tendency to, when challenges are brought to you, may avoid challenges or give up early, or the amount of effort, you see effort as fruitless, whether you put it in or not. Criticism, you either ignore useful negative feedback or you get defensive with it. And then when you see others being successful, instead of celebrating that with them, you feel threatened by it, and you're not crazy about seeing other people be successful. And as a result of this, you might plateau early, and you would achieve, typically you achieve less than what your full potential is. Having a growth mindset is completely the opposite. Intelligence is something that can be developed. It leads to a desire to learn more, therefore a tendency to embrace challenges, to be persistent, and face obstacles. And just, I call it looking at the situation like a mouse in a maze. You come up against a brick wall, then you redirect, you go a different direction, and you find another route. Your effort, you understand that effort is a path to mastery. It goes back to that old Albert Einstein thing, like how many times did he fail at inventing the light bulb? Well, it only took that one. He failed a lot in order to get to the time when it actually succeeded, right? So he put in a lot of effort. And then criticism. You don't look at criticism as necessarily something that is negative. You look at it as something as, oh, that's something I may not have thought about. I need to think about that a little bit more, and how might I be able to implement or change the direction of what I'm doing to incorporate that as well. And then when you see other people be successful, you find that more inspiring than you do threatening. And as a result of that, individuals with a growth mindset tend to have higher levels of achievement in life in general.
So your key takeaway for this presentation is using the various strategies, effective homework strategies, where you always solve problems without looking at an example or a solution. Using effective reading comprehension skills. Memorize what you're told to memorize by your professors. Ask yourself, what am I supposed to know after reading each chapter? Develop metacognitive learning strategies. Can you summarize or teach what you've learned? You can apply Bloom's taxonomy. Aim for a higher order thinking skills. Remember the pyramid where you head towards the top. Study cycle. Spend time working on your subjects every day. Attend SI sessions if they're available, or attend a tutoring session. When you get the help early and frequently, you'll find that you'll be more successful in your courses. Have a growth mindset. Aim for 100% mastery. You might want to ask yourself, which strategy will you use? For me, I personally like all of them, but I find myself mainly using the growth mindset and the developed metacognitive learning strategies, where I'm actually asking, can I teach this?
Yeah.
Those work for me. And in terms of reading comprehensive, I take a lot of notes. I'm a visual person, so I'm constantly writing my notes. How about you, Mandy? What do you feel is the best strategy for you?
Well, because reading has always been something that I have to work hard at. And I'm right there with you guys. I have not been in school since 2007, and I just enrolled in a doctoral program this week. So I am right at that stage of, oh my goodness, I'm a little bit scared. Am I going to be able to do this? I can't. I really have a lot of tenderness for our students right now, because I am feeling everything that you guys typically feel when you start to embark upon a new program. But effective reading comprehension is something that's very important to me. And then I would say the study cycle. I spend a lot of time, I'm very structured, so I spend a lot more time kind of analyzing what it is that I need to be doing. So I'm a little bit on the other end with you, Juanita, but I do take a lot of notes as well. I need to be organized in my approach. Everybody's different though. I mean, some people can study and do extremely well with music in the background. I have to have it silent. Like I'm in a cave right now. I don't even want, I don't want to see out the windows when I'm working. I need to be focused. So, everybody's different. Other people need the light.
Okay. Are you next or am I next?
I think I am. Okay, so fail or not to fail. So what are the top 5 reasons to fail? So typically students fail because they did not spend enough time on the material. They started their homework or even studying late. They did not memorize the fundamentals that they needed to of the information in class. They did not use their book. They assumed that they knew the material, but did not apply what they learned. And here are some of the 5 ways that you can use to avoid failing. Do a preview for every class. Remember, we talked about that in previewing the chapters that you know that are going to be discussed in the upcoming class. So basically, you're working in advance. Do the homework a little bit at a time. That comes with being able to properly budget out your time, especially if you're taking multiple classes at the same time. Use the book and the suggested problems. The professor sometimes will put problems up on the board if they're open for you to taking pictures of that. I recommend taking pictures of that. Just like I mentioned, you could utilize some of those AI components just to make up sample problems to solve. I don't recommend using it on writing your papers unless you have explicitly had that conversation with your instructor and they allow for that. Make flashcards for memorizing information. I was a big flashcarder. So I would buy a bunch at the beginning of the year. Practice explaining the information to other people. So we know that you're committed to your success or you wouldn't be here in the first place. We hope that you're able to take some of these tips, tools, strategies, and techniques that we've talked about and kind of implement that into your own process. Next slide, please.
Okay, so we always like to include additional information for our students. So if just to let you know that we offer counseling services at Houston Community College. So if you have personal issues, if you need ADA accommodations, you need crisis counseling, or attend other student success and retention workshops, the counseling department does offer that. And you can find that information on our HCC website.
And we've given you some information about our tutoring program. If you would like, I invite you to bring your telephone numbers out and plug this telephone number into your cell phone. It's the 713-718-8184. Just label that tutoring. And the reason why I'm telling you to do this is when you get stuck and you need help, you don't have to try to search our website to find us. You don't have to look for a flyer that might have been posted in your Canvas shell. You use the one mechanism that you use for just about everything else in life. It's in your phone already, and you just need to call us. Our lab assistants are trained to figure out what it is that you need and who you might need to be into contact with, and they can schedule your appointment for you. I recommend scheduling an appointment versus dropping in because we don't always have every tutor in every subject at every location. You want to make sure that you're not wasting your time. So 713-718-8184. I would love to open it up for a couple of minutes to find out what did you guys find most useful out of today's workshop. Anybody? Don't be shy now.
I've also put a link for a survey in if you want to put your answers in the survey. And we draw at the end of the month. So I guess next week this week, I'll be drawing on Monday or Tuesday for power bank winners and for people.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah. We give out power banks at the end of each month for people who filled out the survey.
Okay.
And if you didn't fill out to get a free t-shirt mailed to you, you can fill that form out too.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I love that. Melissa said the fixed mindset versus growth mindset.
Thank you, Melissa.
I'm a firm believer of that one.
Yeah. I think Teresa might be popping something in there soon too. But while they're typing, I just want to thank you guys for coming out today. It really does show that you have a genuine concern about your own learning and your own dedication to your success. We're here to help you. We're here to do the best that we can to support you. And come visit us at our other workshops. It's not just Juanita and I who present. We have a lot of really excellent tutors and counselors and other individuals who present. And I think Jana has popped into the chat where you can look at what those other options are. It looks like Elaine might have a question. You're welcome to unmute yourself, Elaine, and ask.
No, I
Yes.
just wanted to add that, like I think sometimes when you take like subjects like algebra, you just focus so much on the formulas, you don't really like go back into the textbook and go through like each chapter. So
Yeah.
I heard that at the beginning of the semester that it's important, but just to have it, someone else saying it, not just your professor, it also like helps you like, okay, maybe I should take extra time to go back and make sure that I've grasped the concept of what I'm supposed to be learning.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for adding that in. And yes, Melissa, thank you. That yes, this presentation and this, it can apply to work. It can apply to just about everything. What we're trying to tap on with these workshops are not content specific skills. These are life skills that you can use here while you're, pursuing your educational journey, but they're also skills that you can use in the workplace. And as you progress in the future, if you want to give your children a heads up, teach them these skills earlier than later in life. It will make life a lot easier for them. Thank you also, Teresa, effective homework strategies. We'll be using the SQ5R. Thank you. You wrote that down. That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much again for today. With that, I think we're going to kind of wrap things up and give you 20 minutes back of your time. Appreciate your attendance. Take care. Have the best semester yet.
Thank you all. Have good luck to your classes.
And also, thank you for coming. If you want to rewatch this, we will be posting this on our YouTube channel. And I did post that. I'll repost it on the Student Life YouTube channel. And you can go there and rewatch it if you like. And we also have other past events posted there. Thanks for coming. Hope to see you at further events. Bye, everyone. Have a great week.
Thank you. Bye.